Yeah. You have to read from this. Nor is this yoga
Yeah.
system of Patanjali.
Sure. Nor is this yoga the yoga system of Patanjali, for that is purely subjective method, for that is a purely subjective method of Raja Yoga, an internal discipline, limited, rigidly cut out, severely and scientifically graded, by which the mind is progressively stilled and taken up into samadhi, so that we may gain the temporal and eternal results of this self exceeding, the temporal in a great expansion of the soul's knowledge and powers, the eternal in the divine union. But the yoga of the Gita is a large, flexible, and many sided system with various elements, which are all successfully harmonized by a sort of natural and living assimilation. And of these elements, Raja Yoga is only one and not the most important and vital. This yoga does not adopt any strict and scientific gradation, but is a process of natural soul development. It seeks, by the adoption of a few principles of subjective poise and action, to bring about a renovation of the soul and a sort of change, ascension, or new birth out of the lower nature into the divine. Accordingly, its idea of samadhi is quite different from the ordinary notion of the yogic trance. And while Patanjali gives to works only an initial importance for moral purification and religious concentration, the Gita goes so far as to make works the distinctive characteristic of yoga. Action to Patanjali is only a preliminary. In the Gita, it is a permanent foundation. In the Raja Yoga, it has practically to be put aside when its result has been attained, or at any rate ceases very soon to be a means for the yoga. For the Gita, it is a means of the highest ascent and continues even after the complete liberation of the soul.
Right. Thank you, Archana ji. In this paragraph, he is talking about the yoga systems, basically the yoga, the system of self-development evolution known as yoga, talking about the Patanjali system. Sankhya and yoga is the chapter. He has earlier discussed in the previous paragraph about what is Sankhya. And just like we did last time from the first chapter, the distinction that is made in the first chapter, page 7, regarding the method of the Sankhya is simply this. He says there are two concurrent ways of approaching the realization. The Sankhya is philosophical, intellectual, analytic, and the yogic is intuitional, devotional, practical, ethical, synthetic, reaching knowledge through experience. And like I said, Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam, Karma Yogena Yoginam. This makes it clear that the Sankhya approach is that of Jnana Yoga, basically, and the Yoga approach is that of Karma Yoga. At least that is how it is there in the Bhagavad Gita. This is 3.3 of the, this is 3.3, third chapter, third verse, right? So with that background, I'll just see who else has joined. Okay, yeah, everybody who had said has joined. Yeah, okay. Nor is this yoga the yoga system of Patanjali. Patanjali means he who fell into the Anjali. Pata means to fall, Patanjali. Nor is this yoga the yoga system of Patanjali, for that is a purely subjective method of Raja Yoga, internal. Okay, an internal discipline, limited, rigidly cut out. Like there are stages, gradations. First this, then this, then this, then this. In the Gita, as such, there is no rigid. It's like this. It's not rigidly cut out. It's more free, more flexible that way. Okay? Severely and scientifically graded. which is why many times it is preferred by a lot of people in the beginning. It appeals to the scientific mind a lot, right? Severely and scientifically graded, by which the mind is progressively stilled and taken up into a samadhi. The gradations are yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. These are the stages. In this, if we want to see the krama basically of stillness, so through the asana, the body is stilled first. Okay, sthiram, sukham, asanam. This is the definition of asan given in the Patanjali Yoga Sutra. So when the body is perfectly still, okay, important to understand this point, very simple point also. As we go higher and higher in the level of consciousness, how can we go like this higher? By stilling the previous level. So first, the body is stilled, right? When the body stillness is attained, then through pranayama, the prana is controlled and stilled at will. Then, when the prana is stilled, then through the process of dharana, dhyan, etc., the mind is stilled. And when the mind is stilled, then you get to the principle which is higher than the mind. Yo buddhehe paratastu saha, in the language of the Gita, third chapter ending. That which is higher than the intelligence is he. He mane the Purusha, the self, right? So, yeah, just to understand, okay, this is how it's very, very simple. And until the previous, the previous level is quieted, I'll come to you, Dhaval. The next level cannot have its full power of functioning. Tell me.
So अनमोल भाई बेसिकली शरीर मतलब फिजिकल को स्टील करना, वाइटल को थ्रू प्राणायाम स्टील करना,
और
माइंड को धारणा स्टील करना. वन द
धारणा के
स्टेबल बेस इज क्रिएटेड ऑन द फिजिकल, it is free of all the vikaras or
So
whatever.
when the physical will be absolutely still, that way, then when there is no twitching, basically, like
Correct.
some people shaking their hands or feet or thak thak wo bag hote. If that is there, then even the vital energy ka flow puri tarah nahi hoga.
Correct.
Now, next step. If the vital is very active, if the desires, emotions, feelings, sensations, passions, if all these things are very active, then you cannot be a truly mental person. You cannot be a pure intellectual. You cannot have pure thoughts because it is all getting mixed up with the energy of the vital level, right?
Correct.
So the vital has to be quiet. When the vital will be quiet, then the mind will come into its full force. Then the mind will get its full chance of, play basically. Then when you're in the mind, uska atikraman karna for human being is not so easy and sounds counterintuitive also. Human bolte na comes from man. So we are mental beings that way. But wait, when the mind itself is also quiet, when the mental activity is not there, when the thoughts are silent, it is then that the spirit gets its chance to manifest properly. Right? Gita mein isko bolte hai, na kinchid api chintayet. This phrase comes, I think, in the 6th chapter. Na kinchid api chintayet. Do not think at all. This is one of the directives of the Gita. वो एक तरह से गीता का राजा योग है, given in the 6th chapter.
So asanas are got this. So lower 3 layers had to be stilled in order to reach the higher.
Lower prakriti will be stilled, then the spiritual consciousness will get its chance to stabilize and manifest properly.
Correct. Now, if you were to explain me this, yama niyama will be forming a part
moral
of
control. Moral control, yeah.
Sorry, which control?
Moral control.
Moral
basically
control.
For
So
moral purification.
So this means it is belonging to the vital plane.
Yeah, I mean that I gave an example because these are the grades in that. अब उसमें क्या physical, क्या vital, वो फिर मतलब आप एक एक करके point लेकर के चलो. ब्रह्मचर्या is physical. ब्रह्मचर्या जो उसमें होता है, you want to name the yama niyama, you want to name that and go one by one in them, all the 10.
No, just to understand the, if you are able to tell, then that's fine. But if it's too detailed for others, I don't know.
Satya, okay? So truth ka basically following in speech, because it's the main thing. Tasyai satyam ayatanam. हमने देखा था ना? Truth is the foundation of everything. So if truth itself is not there as a foundation, then what yoga are you going to do, right? So Satya, Asteya, non-stealing, right? Isha Upanishad also, in the last quarter of the first verse, what does it say? Ma gridha kasya svidhanam do not lust after any man's possession. वहां पे जो गृद्ध है वो that comes from इंग्लिश का जो greed है वो वहीं से आता है. Same idea. Non stealing. Do not steal. वो basically एक moral purification है. Otherwise, I mean, that play of desires, jealousy, etc., you give it a free chance if you are indulging in that. And basically, it has to be stilled and controlled. All these are basic rules. Satya, Asteya, I don't remember, मुझे 10 के 10 ऐसे याद. Satya, Asteya, Aparigraha. Aparigraha
अच्छा,
means
हाँ, non-accumulation.
non-covetousness.
हाँ.
Sri Aurobindo translates it as non-covetousness, not having greed.
हाँ.
Yeah. Like that. Gita में भी बोला है in the end of the 16th chapter, त्रिविधम नरकस्येदम द्वारम नाशनम आत्मनः कामः क्रोधस् तथा लोभः तस्मात् एतत् त्रयम् त्यजेत. 3 are the doors of hell: anger, lust and greed. Therefore you should give them all up. Powerful श्लोक है, easy to remember also. त्रिविधम नरकस्येदम, very practical.
Narakasyedam, हाँ, because you go to Naraka.
You go to Naraka. Trividham Narakasyedam Dwaram Nashanam Atmanah. They are the destroyers of the soul.
Soul, destroyer of Atma.
Kamaha Krodhas Tatha Lobha. Lust, anger and greed. Tasmat Etat Trayam Tyajet. मैं नंबर देख रहा हूं उसका.
कोई बात नहीं.
16.21. 16.21. Right? So same idea. Satya, Asteya, Aparigraha, Ahimsa, non-violence. Naturally, you are aiming for oneness. Your aim in yoga is to reach that one consciousness.
Correct.
So a sadhak cannot be violent. That rule of necessary violence is for the Kshatriya. Or, I mean, if necessary, for the protection of your life, that way. But essentially, if you are a sadhak, then you have to follow that non-violence ka rule. Right?
How would so we normally say that if
जो राजा योगा को फॉलो कर रहे हैं उनकी बात कर रहा हूँ.
अच्छा, जो राज, okay, got it. Not
अर्जुन के लिए नहीं है. It's not for Arjuna. He's being asked to kill, being stationed in that inner silence.
Now take us as followers here or whatever, devotees of Sri Aurobindo and the mother. Now, if we have to take up arms like the Aghoris and defend the nation, then should we or should we not?
If you have to, then you have to. But is it coming upon you to do it? Is there nobody else to do it? Everybody has their role. Your role is to practice the integral yoga and bring down the supramental forces into the world and let them flow into matter. That is your role chosen by Sri Aurobindo.
Okay.
Is that clear?
Yeah.
Not everybody is following integral yoga. Even those who are following integral yoga, Sri Aurobindo's yoga, it takes them years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years to properly understand what this is all about.
Correct.
The intellectual understanding comes by and by. Initially, the faith comes and you're possessed by them. In the sense, your heart is captured by them and you try to follow in the best possible way. But the understanding comes slowly, na? So, if you are being chosen for this by the divine power, then आपका धर्म इसको follow करना है. And the divine power will choose somebody else to take up the arms and defend the nation if necessary. If you are needed, then you will be chosen. So it depends on that. Okay. Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Aparigraha, Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya basically means, वैसे literally, जो ब्रह्म में चरना, to walk in Brahman. Literally, that is what the word means. And that is what Sri Aurobindo describes in the brain of India when the energy at the base of matter reaches the top. So, जो मूलाधार पे जो energy है, basically when it reaches the top, that is Brahmacharya. So
Sahasradal.
Sahasradal. So when this thing Retas is preserved, then it becomes Tejas, Tapas.
Conversion to Ojas.
Finally, Tapas, Tejas, Vidyut, Ojas, Virya. This is the sequence.
Yeah, Virya is the spiritual
energy. And that is necessary, right?
Yeah.
So without that, and Yadit Shanto Brahmacharyam Charanti, with the desire of which, that is the divine, men practice Brahmacharya. Right, like that. So Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Aparigraha, Brahmacharya, Shaucha, cleanliness. Mother said cleanliness is the first indispensable step towards the supramental realization. If you don't have basic cleanliness, forget about supermind. That is why ashram, when we see one staggering feature is the cleanliness compared to other temples.
Absolutely.
Keech kachad macha hota hai, literally. In many of the temples.
Yeah,
This is the difference between, the spiritual energy in which the ignorance plays still there compared to where it is the knowledge and light which is dominating, right? So, Shaucha, Tapas, austerity. Tapas is defined in the Gita in the 17th chapter, वाक मतलब वो मैं शेयर वर्सेस शेयर कर दूंगा, बट बेसिकली व्हाट इज द स्पीच ऑफ माइंड, व्हाट इज द स्पीच ऑफ स्पीच, व्हाट इज द स्पीच ऑफ बॉडी, like that it is defined. Four
अच्छा अच्छा
austerities and four liberations, mothers are basically tapas meaning staying concentrated. If you press your hands like this, you start feeling some heat, isn't it? So you're
या
concentrating your hands and you're feeling heat. The word tapas literally means heat. So
करेक्ट
generating that heat, that intensity of sadhana within you, that is tapas. Through self control, through the desires rejection, all that, the tapasya builds up. But that spirit of tapas has to be there in any sadhak. Without that, you will never attain realization. Very simple.
करेक्ट एंड कैन यू
एक मिनट, दो रह
एलाबोरेट?
गए हैं उसमें.
हाँ सॉरी, गो अहेड प्लीज। या
संतोष,
हाँ
कंटेंटमेंट, शौच, तपस, संतोष, ईश्वर प्राणिधान, वो फाइनल होता है. सेल्फ सरेंडर टू गॉड, दैट इज वेयर द वर्ड ईश्वर कम्स इन द पतंजलि योगा. एंड देयर इज वन मोर, शौच, तपस, संतोष, स्वाध्याय, सेल्फ स्टडी.
हम्म
हाँ. So Swadhyaya, some people say कि स्वयं का अध्ययन, that is also fine, perfect, because ultimately the Veda, the perfect knowledge is within everybody's heart. Shobando बोलते हैं ना कि just as there is the normal guru, you can make somebody your guru, but there is the supreme guru who is dwelling within your heart. So similarly, there is a shastra, but the supreme shastra, the eternal Veda, is dwelling within each everybody's heart. So when we study ourselves, that is the best study. But Swadhyaya, normally study of scripture, what we are doing right now is Swadhyaya basically. That.
करेक्ट करेक्ट
You were
एंड
saying something.
just can you help me complete yama niyam pratyahar and
Yama,
samadhi?
niyama, nahi. Asana, pranayama.
अच्छा, yama niyam आसान.
Yama, niyama, asan, pranayam. These are the first four stages. Then dharana, nahi, sorry. Yama, niyama, asana, pranayama. Then pratyahara. Pratyahara is drawing the objects from their senses. अंदर की तरफ खींचना. दैट इज व्हाट इज प्रत्याहार. गीता में भी है, सेकंड वर्स के सेकंड चैप्टर के एंड में, कूर्मोंगानी व सर्वशः, जस्ट
हाँ
एज द टॉर्टोइज विथड्रॉज इट्स लिम्स इनवर्ड.
करेक्ट करेक्ट, योगस्थ कुरु कर्माणि. हाँ संगम
उसके
being
काफी बाद में है.
उसके बाद में.
योगस्थः कुरु कर्माणि इज 2.48.
हाँ
दिस
हाँ
वन कम्स
हाँ
मोर टुवर्ड्स द एंड. इंद्रियाणि इंद्रियार्थेषु, ऐसे.
हाँ
So
करेक्ट
basically,
करेक्ट.
kurmonga, just as the tortoise withdraws its limbs, that is the image given in the Gita. That is pratyahara.
Withdrawal of
Senses
consciousness
from the objects of sense.
हाँ
Interiorizing basically.
हाँ, basically turning your consciousness inwards.
Yes. इसके लिए there is a very very powerful shloka in the Kathopanishad. Just trying to remember it. परांचिखानि व्यतृणत् स्वयंभूः तस्मात् परां पश्यति नान्तरात्मन् कश्चित् धीरः प्रत्यगात्मानमैक्षत आवृत्तचक्षुः अमृतत्वमिच्छन्. Because this is a problem for everybody कि कैसे interiorize करें. And there the condition is being described. What does it say? Paranchikhani vyatrinat swayambhuhu. Paranchikhani, I think, means the doors. Swayambhu means the self-existent, the divine.
Para, the doors of the para.
So
Okay.
No. The
Then?
self-existent has set the doors of the body outward. Paranchikhani, bahar ki taraf. Vyatrinat, set. Swayambhuhu. ठीक है. वो एक एक वर्ड का मीनिंग आई शेयर द लिंक, यू कैन सी. बेसिकली द डोर्स, द सेंसेस, द डिवाइन हैज डिजाइन्ड देम लाइक दैट, दे आर टर्न्ड आउटवर्ड्स. परांचिखानि व्यतृणत् स्वयंभूः तस्मात् परांग पश्यति. दैट इज व्हाई द मैन लुक्स आउटसाइड, न अंतरात्मन. तस्मात् परांग पश्यति नांतरात्मन. ओके. कश्चित् धीरः, इट इज द रेयर पेशेंट पर्सन, he who is having धीरज, धैर्य, पेशेंस, perseverance. कश्चित् धीरः प्रत्यगात्मानम ऐक्षत, लुकिंग विद इन. ऐक्षत, प्रति मतलब रिफ्लेक्ट होना. ठीक है. प्रति द प्रीफिक्स मीन्स टू रिफ्लेक्ट, टू टर्न बैक. ओके. कश्चित् धीरः प्रत्यगात्मानम ऐक्षत, ही लुक्स बैक एट हिज ओन सेल्फ. प्रत्यगात्मानम ऐक्षत आवृत्त चक्षुः अमृतत्वमिच्छन्. Desiring immortality.
With repeated, आवृत्त चक्षु means with repeated eyes, right? आवृत्ति means to repeat.
नहीं, यहाँ पे आई थिंक उसका मतलब शायद ये नहीं है. यहाँ पे उसका मतलब है आवृत मतलब ढका हुआ. So the chakshu is close to the outside world and it is turned within. I think that's the meaning.
Okay, okay. Avritti in that sense is covered.
वो आवृत्ति है,
Okay, got it.
ये आवृत है.
Okay.
आवरण, यहाँ पे वो आवरण
Avran.
वाला सेंस है.
Got it, got it, got it.
Basically, and he's telling the situation कि it has been turned outside. परांचिखानि व्यत्रणत स्वयंभूः तस्मात् परां पश्यति नान्तरात्मन कश्चित् धीरः प्रत्यगात्मानमैक्षत आवृत्त चक्षुः अमृतत्वमिच्छत. Basically, what perseverance is needed, very much needed.
Yeah.
अगर आपके अंदर वो धीरज की कमी है तो आप वो अंदर नहीं जा पाएंगे. You need a lot of patience.
I think that's the first quality for a sadhak, dheeraj.
Yeah, exactly.
And then after pratyahar.
And actually, I might say this in linkage with the previous sessions. Sri Aurobindo observes that later on in India, what happened in spirituality, there was this lack of dhairya. And that is why, if they got some realization, they were like, yeah, this is the final. Yeah, this is the final. Nobody was willing to wait. So they got excited. Yes, this is the final. And that is why it culminated in Mayavad. Whereas the older people, they were much more dhira. That is why they even had a glimpse of the supermind. They have mentioned the supermind in the Veda and the Upanishads. They even tried to rise individually to the supramental plane. उसके बाद तो वो effort ही नहीं हुआ ना. If the effort has happened, then we don't know. It might have happened. The record is not there. But what is the reason? This is important to understand. The reason is lack of dhairya, lack of patience. So be patient. जल्दी का काम शैतान का बोलते ना. Be patient. Be patient. Be patient. There is a meaning behind this material universe also. There is an intention of the creator behind the creation of this. And you will find it. And every question has an answer. मायावाद में क्या होता है? They just dismiss. कुछ नहीं है, कुछ है ही नहीं.
Correct.
कैसे नहीं है भैया?
And you remain rationally unsatisfied.
That's what. I have to quote one or two passages from the Life Divine where Sri Aurobindo, in very beautiful language, very logical yet humorous, he dismisses all these things. He calls it the eternal delirium of the eternal. This world, according to Mayavad, is nothing but the eternal delirium of the eternal. As if that eternal cannot come out of the delirium on his own. It is eternally delirious. वो एक शाश्वत पागलपन में है. It is nonsense, absolutely.
Oh, beautiful.
Yes, the eternal delirium of the eternal. मतलब again, Sri Aurobindo's sense of humor is so wonderful. कि बस वो बस eternally delirious ही है और कुछ नहीं है. और जब उसको होश आता है, he realizes, oh, हम ब्रह्मास्मि, हम ब्रह्मास्मि.
He usually loops back on the words.
Anyway, we are not moving forward, right? So ये है. And then वो प्रत्याहार, धारणा, ध्यान, समाधि. उसमें जो लास्ट के 3 stages है, as a whole they are called samyama. Samadhi is that thoughtlessness, wherein, by withdrawing, finally, you go into that total trance, total silence. Okay?
Yeah.
That is the gradations.
And also, Raj Yoga, Patanjali mentions, these Raga, Dvesha, Abhinivesh, and all this.
वो सब उसको, हाँ वो होगा, इसमें आएगा तो देख लेंगे.
Okay, no worries.
We are not studying the Patanjali Yoga Sutra.
No, just because you mentioned all this, so I thought ये जब negatives जो mention हो रहे थे, तो उसमें ये सब आ ही गया ना actually, जो आपने वो बीच में श्लोक mention किया इसके साथ. That's how I recalled. Okay.
अच्छा. हाँ, मेरे को एक्चुअली वो उतना मैंने पढ़ा नहीं है, मुझे याद नहीं है. थोड़ा बहुत आइडिया है मुझे उसके बारे में. And the reason for that is, anyway, so nor is this yoga the yoga system of Patanjali. For that is a purely subjective method of Raja Yoga, an internal discipline limited, rigidly cut out, severely and scientifically graded, by which the mind is progressively stilled and taken up into samadhi, so that we may gain the temporal and eternal results of this self-exceeding. The temporal results are the siddhis. Okay, so many siddhis are mentioned in the Yoga Sutras. You do this, you will get this siddhi. You do this, you will get that siddhi. Detail mein mention is. Those are the temporal results. What are the eternal results? You will get your consciousness will start getting fixed in the eternal. You will realize your true nature, which is eternity, immortality, ananda, etc. Eternal results of the self-exceeding. The temporal in a great expansion. Again, of the soul's knowledge and powers. So not just siddhis, but jnana, vijnana, detailed knowledge. The eternal in the divine union. But the yoga of the Gita is a large, flexible, and many-sided system with various elements, which are all successfully harmonized by a sort of natural and living assimilation. Now, sometimes the thought can come, why has Sri Aurobindo not written a commentary on the Yoga Sutras? He could have done it, isn't it? It is because of this reason. वो जहाँ लिखा ना, limited, rigidly cut out. severely and scientifically graded. If you see the language and compared to the Gita, large, flexible, and many-sided system. That is
That
why.
means he has studied. He has studied. Otherwise, I mean, he has
Yes,
experienced
definitely
it.
studied, but that is why he has not commented on it. Because वो वैसे ही limited और rigidly cut out है and very severely and scientifically graded. It's limited and rigid. It's a rigid system. The
Recipes.
Gita is saying is much more large, flexible, and many-sided. It मतलब obviously personality भी होती है commentator की. Sri Aurobindo's personality was not like that. It was very large.
So Anmol bhai, one more question. Swami Vivekananda also belongs practiced Raj Yoga, right? So
Yeah.
is this the same Raj Yoga or is it he propounded a different one?
No, he followed. I mean, I don't know. I have not, but he followed that Raja Yoga. Even mother in France, when she was there, she read Vivekananda's Raja Yoga and followed it, and she was greatly helped by the book. Many things she did not know because she had nothing now. She had no books, no teacher in front of her. So whatever she got, it was a great help to her. So she read Vivekananda's Raja Yoga. So mother herself has practiced that, and Sri Aurobindo himself did pranayam for 3 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the evening for good 3 to 4 years. So they have gone through all this. And after growing through all this, following the yoga of the Gita, mother even followed the Buddhist yoga. वो सारा करने के बाद उपनिषद वगैरह वेद वगैरह finally they have synthesized everything completely and given you the integral yoga and the sunlit path, right? We don't need to go all through that process. We don't need to. We just need to follow Mother and Sri Aurobindo in a obedient and systematic way.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
But the yoga of the I was just saying why he has not commented on the Yoga Sutras because of this reason. Whereas on the Gita, this commentary is there. It is on the Gita. He has translated in the translations volume number 5. The first 6 chapters he has translated, right? In this thing. In the Bengali writings, again, the first 2 chapters are translated. In the Gita, he keeps mentioning in his letters. So why? It is because of this.
So
He
that is
regards-
why in Raja Yoga, Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha this is precisely the samyama aspect, no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Chitta Vritti Nirodha, basically, that's stillness.
Stillness, correct.
All the movements of the chitta, all the vrittis, उनका निरोध करना मतलब उनको गीता में भी वो न किंचिदपि चिंतयेत. गीता में राजयोगिक एलिमेंट है, but it is not the whole of it. That is what he is trying to tell in this paragraph. Yeah. But the yoga of the Gita is a large, flexible, and many-sided system with various elements, okay, which are all successfully harmonized by a sort of natural and living assimilation.
Beautiful.
So, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga are the main. But other than this, in the Gita, there are Raja Yogic elements in the 6th chapter. So when it asks you to sit straight, Samam Kaya Shiro Grivam, your head, neck, and back should be in one straight line. The use of the asana, silent place, all that is basically Raja Yogic, right? Pranayam ke upar there are verses, that is basically Hatha Yoga. So even the elements of Hatha Yoga and Raja Yoga are there in the Gita, but वो उनको perfectly harmonize कर रही है, like that. The main is the triple path. That is why the Gita is called the triple path. The Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. Okay.
So it has extracted, no? Gita has extracted the truths out of it, no? Anmol bhai, as we read last.
Out of what?
Out of all these systems of yoga. Like, for example, we read about Sankhya that this is not the system of Karika, right? So he has just extracted the Sri Aurobindo.
Not just extracted. So yes, it has extracted. You are right. So Sankhya, Yoga, and Vedanta आप ऐसे बोले उनको सबको synthesize किया है, ठीक है? The Gita makes one addition. That is the addition of the concept of the Purushottama. The word Purushottama does not exist before the Bhagavad Gita.
Correct.
That is Gita's contribution to the spiritual synthesis.
So yeah, that is, I agree. But what I was trying to allude to is that Sri Aurobindo begins this chapter with that only, no? That it is a Vedantic work, so it is colored. It is colored by Sankhya and others. So it basically weaves in.
It is not colored by Sankhya and others. The Sankhya of the Gita is having that Vedantic coloring. उल्टा है जो आप बोल रहे हैं उसका. So the Sankhya of the Gita is not the normal Sankhya, जिसके अंदर many Purushas and one Prakriti होती है.
Correct.
The Sankhya of the Gita is having the Vedantic coloring. That is what he's saying. It's not that the Vedanta of the Gita is having the Sankhya coloring. It's the opposite.
So, but in this line, which we read last time, but still its Vedantic ideas are throughout and thoroughly colored by the ideas of the Sankhya and the Yoga. In that sense, yeah.
वो first chapter का मुझे याद आ रहा था. हाँ, तो क्या है उसमें कि जो वेदांत है, for example, yeah, you're right. So वेदांत में Brahman is the main word, okay? As I said. But Gita का main word क्या है? Gita का main word है पुरुषोत्तमा.
हाँ
And where is the word Purusha coming from? It is coming from the Sankhya philosophy. So in that sense, plus the
हाँ
Gita will
correct.
talk about the lower Prakriti, higher Prakriti. वेदांत के अंदर ये सब नहीं होता है. वेदांत के अंदर it is Brahman and Maya.
Plus even Shri Arjun asked, no, I want to know
Avidya
about
Maya and
Sankhya.
Vidya Maya. This is
हाँ.
the Vedantic distinction.
Now, even the ideas of gunas which Arjuna asks in the later
That is
chapters,
Sankhya. Pure
that is
Sankhya.
that is pure Sankhya, no?
Pure
हाँ,
Sankhya.
correct.
Pure Sankhya.
हाँ,
Pure Sankhya. It is a synthesis basically.
हाँ,
It's a
okay.
synthesis of Sankhya, Yoga, and Vedanta, but building on that synthesis, because every new thing, this has to be understood. Otherwise, they will not understand or appreciate what is evolution. Every new synthesis adds something to the previously existing ones, right?
Correct.
So the Gita adds the concept of Purushottama. What follows the Gita? Tantra. That incorporates the Shakti aspect, right? After that, the most complete one, Sri Aurobindo, that brings in the idea of the supermind and the descent and the total transformation of the world. So something is added. As humanity becomes more and more ready for a greater and greater yoga, so a greater and greater yoga is given to humanity. According to the stage of evolution of humanity as a whole, at that time that yoga is given. This has to be understood. Why this is important? Because otherwise we will just stick to the Gita. Oh, this is not written in the Gita,
Correct.
therefore I will not do it. Then your realization will be restricted to the realization of the Gita. You will get
And
maybe the mukti from Punarjanma, but you will never understand the purpose behind the creation of this material universe.
correct. And the purpose of avatar is to do this synthesis.
वो आएगा आने वाले चैप्टर्स में आएगा. Let
नहीं,
us wait.
आपने पिछली बार बोला था ना ये.
Yes, correct.
The
So the
purpose of
avatar is basically somebody who adds another step in the ladder of evolution.
evolution, and plus he synthesizes the past also, no? Like Sri
He
Krishna did
assimilates the whole past
whole
and
past.
builds the future. So there's this wonderful sentence of Sri Aurobindo in one of his letters to Dilip Kumar Roy. I had my past and the world's past to assimilate and overpass before I could find and found the future. For those who have not heard it, matlab somebody like Archana has heard it several times. I had my past and the world's past to assimilate and overpass before it could find and before I could find and found the future. Find matlab ढूंढना, found matlab उसका आधार रखना. So it's an avataric utterance. Clearly he's saying that I am laying down the foundation for the future. And every avatar when he comes, so Krishna when he comes, so Indra का जो worship उस वक्त हो रहा था, Indra had become very this thing tyrannical. He replaces Indra, right?
He is the first one to break all the rituals.
Yes, he is the first one to break all the Rudivadita, all the this thing. When Buddha comes, then he breaks all the karma kanda, जिसमें बलि हो रही थी, नर बलि भी हो रही थी, सब कुछ हो रहा था. So every avatar when he comes, he dismisses some of the जो accretions आ जाते हैं ना, the proper word is accretions. Some things which get added on, which are retrograde for the evolution, they are removed by the avatar, like that.
ACCRETIONS.
Yes,
Okay.
correct. Yeah, so we'll move forward.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
No problem. But the yoga of the Gita is a large, flexible, and many-sided system with various elements which are all successfully harmonized by a sort of natural living assimilation. And of these elements, Raja Yoga is only one and not the most important and vital. Not the most important and vital. Okay. This yoga does not adopt any strict and scientific gradation, but is a process of beautiful, natural soul development. Whoever will follow the Gita, that natural soul development, how your soul is naturally flowering from life to life, from life to life, he will come in touch with that, right? Oh, Swabhava or Swadharma, that will start manifesting and developing and flowering like that, right? This yoga does not adopt any strict and scientific gradation, but is a process of natural soul development. It seeks, by the adoption of a few principles of subjective poise and action, to bring about a renovation of the soul and a sort of change, ascension, or new birth out of the lower nature into the divine. This new birth is spoken of in the 4th chapter. Just looking for the verse. Yeah. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vetti tatvatah. 4.9. So my birth and my works are divine. So Sri Aurobindo explains that this Divyam Janma, this divine birth, this is not just of the avatar. This is also of the soul. So as long as basically the ego is still there and we are bound to the lower nature, that is the normal human birth. But when the ego is replaced by the psychic being, and when we are born into the divine nature, when we are born in and through the mother, into the mother's consciousness, that is the new birth. And this new birth you will find in several letters of Sri Aurobindo, and in the integral yoga, it is a necessity to be born anew out of the consciousness of the mother. This kind of, I mean, everybody feels it. When you come in touch with the mother and Sri Aurobindo's consciousness, one starts feeling this new birth, but it has to become complete. One has to concretely feel that she is your mother, not just for saying mother, but she actually becomes the mother of your consciousness, like that. So ascension or new birth out of the lower nature into the divine. यहाँ पे लिखा नहीं है, it means the divine nature. The divine nature is the mother. The divine nature is the para prakriti, that is the mother. Okay?
That means
is what
from
is called mother.
birth from Diti into Aditi.
You can say that. If you want, you can say that. Roughly, you can say that. वो exact meanings में जाने में उसके, but हाँ, Diti roughly represents the lower prakriti. Aditi represents the infinite nature. Aditi का मतलब ही होता है undivided consciousness. That is what the word means, right? Ascension of new birth out of the lower into the divine. Accordingly, its idea of samadhi is quite different from the ordinary notion of the yogic trance. Yeah. Brahmarpanam brahmahavihi brahmagnau brahmanahutam brahmaeva tena gantavyam brahma karma samadhina. It comes in 4.24 of the Gita. Samadhi in Brahman action. So action itself has become Brahman for you. And when the action itself has, whenever something in your consciousness becomes the Brahman, it is a state of Samadhi. So Brahma karma samadhina, Samadhi in Brahman action with waking eyes, not just sitting in trance like this and going. That is also necessary. I'm not saying that somebody can have Samadhi in Brahman action without practice of meditation, interiorization. It's not possible, right? It's very difficult. It's not natural. But aim is Brahma karma samadhina, Samadhi in Brahman action. Action itself has become Brahman. That is the state of Samadhi. With waking eyes, you are in Samadhi. Action has become Brahman for you. The 5th chapter of the Mother, when the works become divine, like that. Dhaval bhai?
Sorry, my question is, Mother also says the work done in true spirit is meditation, right?
Yeah.
So when she says that, and
Yeah.
most of the people
Correct.
who approach for what you call higher and deeper studies, they have to become one with the work, no? Otherwise, they will not be able to
Correct.
pull out something
Correct.
anew
Correct.
in the world. So
Correct.
then that is also a samadhi state, no?
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. उसमें आपका जो action है वो ब्रह्म बन गया है.
हाँ, Brahma, you are worker and the work is the one. So then do you still have the need for
you may have it. You may have it to develop the inner consciousness deeply. You may still have samadhi is needed basically for the development of the inner consciousness and for experiencing that total freedom.
Okay. Not limited to work only.
There is a samadhi ka necessity hai. There is a full chapter on samadhi in the Synthesis of Yoga. I think it is the last chapter of the first book.
Mm-hmm.
Accordingly, its idea of samadhi is quite different from the ordinary notion of the yogic trance. And while Patanjali gives to works only an initial importance for moral purification and religious concentration, after that, works have no meaning in Raja Yoga. Okay? The Gita goes so far as to make works the distinctive characteristic of yoga. Karmanaiva hi samsiddhim asthita janakadaya. It says 3.20, I think. So it cites the example of people who by karma indeed have reached the samsiddhi, the perfect perfection. Until the end, the Gita's insistence is on action, and that insistence on action never stops. Gita is the greatest gospel of works ever given to mankind. This is Sri Aurobindo's sentence. This is the difference between the yoga of Patanjali and the yoga of the Gita, he's saying, right? So while Patanjali's yoga gives to works only an initial importance for moral purification and religious concentration, the Gita goes so far as to make works the distinctive characteristic of yoga. As I said, the word yoga simply taken in Gita means karma yoga. Jnana yogena sankhyanam, karma yogena yoginam. So who is the yogi till that part of the teaching of the Gita, till 3.3? The yogi for the Gita is karma yogi, at least till 3.3. Then in the last verse of the 6th chapter, it will add that bhakti element. वो सबको synthesize करती चलती है, ज्ञान yoga वगैरह perfectly. But I mean, its central focus is on karma in the initial part, right? Action to Patanjali is only a preliminary. In the Gita, it is a permanent foundation. Karma yoga. then Jnana Yoga, then Bhakti Yoga. In the Gita, it is a permanent foundation. In the Raja Yoga, it has practically to be put aside when its result has been attained. Because the aim is wohi mukti. The aim is basically laya. Through samadhi, basically you practice the samadhi to such an extent that when the time comes, when you want to leave the body, when the time comes rather to leave the body, you just let the body and the karma drop off and you just become merged in the Brahman. You sort of lose your individuality into that supreme divine, like that. That is the aim of Raja Yoga. In the Raja Yoga, it has practically to be put aside when its result has been attained, or at any rate ceases very soon to be a means for the yoga. Karma ka importance khatam ho jata hai. For the Gita, it is a means of the highest ascent. It is a means of the highest ascent and continues even after the complete liberation of the soul. There is a verse actually where in Gita, Arurukshor Muner Yogam Karma Karana Muchyate. This is the one. 6.3. Arurukshuhu, he who is intending to climb the hill of yoga. Muner Yogam Karma Karana Muchyate. So that karma is the karana. That is the support by which you climb, it says in 6.3. Okay. So for the Gita, it is a means of the highest ascent. Or last maybe even आप देखें in 18.45 or 46. Clearly it says Yatah Pravrittir Bhutanam 18.46. I'll say this one, it's a very important shloka. Yatah Pravrittir Bhutanam Yena Sarvam Idam Tatam Swakarmana Tam Abhyarchya Siddhim Vindati Manavah. Yatah माने जिससे, प्रवृत्ति ही माने आए हैं, भूतानाम, he from whom all the beings have come into existence, into forward motion basically. Yatah pravrittir bhutanam yena sarvam idam tatam, by whom all this is extended, or in other words, of whom all this is the self extension. Yena sarvam idam tatam, basically the divine. Okay. Swa karmana, by your actions. Titiya ekvachan. Swa karmana tam abhyarchya. Archya में अर्चना वाला रूट है. Okay. Swakarmana tam abhyarchya, by worshipping him with your actions. With your actions. Swakarmana tam abhyarchya siddhim vindati manavah. A man attains perfection. So profound, and isse zyada bada what more categorical way can the Gita say that works alone are sufficient for you to reach the perfection. 3.20 में तो वो समसिद्धि वर्ड यूज करती है. कर्मणैव हि समसिद्धिम आस्थिता जनकादयः. It is by karma alone that the Janaka, etc., they attain to perfect perfection, not just siddhi, some siddhi, perfect perfection. So basically, the importance of works and the sufficiency of work to make you reach the perfection, that no other scripture highlights in such a clear and unambiguous language as the Gita does. Okay. So for the Gita, it is a means of the highest ascent and continues even after the complete liberation of the soul. Works never stop. Because the world never stops, and the world cannot continue without action. Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Vidyanadi Ubhavapi. 13th chapter mein aata. Know both the Purusha and the Prakriti to be eternal. Prakriti is basically the world. It is also beginningless and endless. And it is going towards a higher and higher manifestation of the divine consciousness. This idea is not known to Mayavad and all the other philosophies. Vaikuntvad, Mayavad, Mokshvad, Layavad. They don't realize that the world itself is progressing towards the divine, however slowly, but it is moving towards the Satchidananda. Gradually, even the material world is becoming more and more, it is becoming more and more conscious. It is becoming more and more like the Satchidananda. They are very dismissive of it, escapist basically. So they are not able to see this truth, which the integral vision is able to see. Right? Okay. Yeah. So I think, should we read the next paragraph? Archana ji had read the previous one.
Yeah.
Anmol, even Buddha Bhagwan is considered as one of the avatars of Vishnu ji.
That is done by the Vishnu Purana. Mother says in the agenda at one place that he was of the line of Shiva. That is what Mother says. Doesn't matter, he was an avatar, any which way,
Okay.
What is the question, Sarita?
No, the question is, we've been reading how much he has been, like making the people into monks and taking them away from the works. So I was just wondering how he could be.
He actually, so you're wondering how he's an avatar of the divine.
No, of Vishnu ji ke avatar.
That's what I'm saying. It is the Vishnu Puran who has made him the avatar of Vishnu. The Vishnu Puran has sort of incorporated him into its system and made him the avatar of Vishnu. Vishnu Puran में it is said that he came to lead the asuras out of the world. वो उनको यहाँ से ले जाने के लिए आए थे. He will show them that exit path and basically clear the world of a lot of unwanted people. That is what the Vishnu Puran says regarding the Buddha. That is how he preserved the world. And basically जो कुरीतियां वगैरह आ गई थी, see Vishnu is the preserver ना. So if you want to see the Vishnu element in Buddha, then he preserved the decline of Hindu society further by dismissing all those kuritis and superstitions and malpractices which had crept into the Indian society that way.
Small boy,
हाँ जी.
small, not a question, not just I don't know how to put it. See that the origin of Sankhya, or as mentioned in Gita itself, it is the Kapil, in Kapil Avatar, he has given the Sankhya.
Yeah.
And
Siddhanam
that,
Kapilo Munih.
and that is fully contained in the Bhagavad Puran, which Sri Aurobindo put it in a very high pedestal.
Yes, very correct.
If we go through that, to me it looks like there are empty number of chapters between Kapil and his mother Devhuti, and that was the stage when the creation was still in the beginning stage.
Correct.
People were the gods were not ready, or the human created by the eternal were not ready to produce further. But that was at that time the human or the being as such perhaps did not have those problems which subsequently man had to face.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
To compare Sankhya, inferior or superior, it's not a question of.
We are not saying that. We are saying, according to the stage of development of humanity, the best possible and most suitable yoga is given at that time.
Yes.
And then as the evolution proceeds further, a more and more complete yoga is given. That is what we are saying.
So that's why the karma, etc., the greater importance, because by that time evolution has gone far ahead.
Correct.
So, but the basic theories and principles, that is in only academic word, it's not, of Sankhya, they will remain valid.
Yes, absolutely. I said that myself. कि जो separation of Purusha and Prakriti है.
There is no, I don't see any contradiction. It's only evolution.
It's not contradiction. It is a synthesis.
Oh, correct. That's all right.
It's a synthesis. It's a harmonization.
Because if Kapil is avatar, Sri Aurobindo is avatar, Krishna is Maha-avatar, or what?
Kapil is not an avatar in the sense. Don't confuse, sir. Kapil is not an avatar. Sri Aurobindo is not an avatar like Kapil. I'm sorry. Kapil is one of the 24 avatars. And if you want to say in that sense, Sri Aurobindo is one of the 10 avatars. Sri Aurobindo is Kalki. We cannot compare the 24 with the 10. Vyasa is not the same as Krishna. At least that is my understanding.
Sorry, I don't want to get involved in any dispute or. See, avatar is an avatar, whether from
Avatar is an avatar, but then what did Vyasa add in the ladder of evolution? Tell me.
See, if I start worshipping Narsingha avatar today, will you stop me or will you say I am a backward?
It's not like that. It depends. मतलब वो तो जिसका freedom है, जो worship जिसको करना चाहे कर सकता है. Worship. See, Narsingha basically, उस sense में you know what it means evolution wise, right? From the purely animal, it is the transition between animal and human. That is what is depicted there, right? Otherwise, psychologically, Narsingha avatar basically means nothing is impossible. आप कुछ भी कर लो, nothing is impossible for the divine power. It is omnipotent. जो करना है उसको to meet its ends and objectives, the divine can make the impossible possible. That is what the avatar means. Signifies.
Correct. So it all. See, I don't think there any comparison or superior, inferior.
It's not like, when we are reading over here, okay, if you are saying this, I have not written this book, okay? यहाँ पे साफ साफ लिखा हुआ है, look at the words. लिमिटेड, रिजिडली कट आउट, सीवियरली एंड साइंटिफिकली ग्रेडेड. उसके बाद क्या लिखा है? अ लार्ज, फ्लेक्सिबल एंड मेनी साइडेड सिस्टम. नाउ आई मीन यू डोंट इवन नीड टू रीड बिटवीन द लाइन्स टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट ही इज ट्राइंग टू से हियर, that the yoga of the Gita is superior to the yoga of Patanjali. Am I wrong in saying this or interpreting it in this way?
No. See, again, I am not trying to compare
No. Even let this be clear. अगर
Yeah.
argument होता भी है, it doesn't matter. All of us are studying here.
No.
What does
It's
everybody
a-
feel here? Is it not
Why
plain
are-
from the language here what he's
No,
trying to say?
I am so sorry that by
अरे sir, there is nothing to be sorry about. उसमें कुछ है ही नहीं है. But all I'm saying is we have to, when we study a text, we have to study it very objectively.
There is no argument, there is no dispute. I am
yes.
just saying it's a question of how does
It's a question of what yoga is suitable for what age and climb. Correct.
how does one take it?
Exactly.
And that also is because it's his or her development,
Exactly.
her evolution, individual evolution.
Exactly.
So-
Exactly. But I might say here, one of the definitions of evil is something which has outlived its usefulness and is still trying to exist. मैं ये नहीं कह रहा सांख्या का usefulness खत्म. I'm not saying that at all. But evil, पापा क्या होता है? Something which is not valid anymore. It is, आपको वो आगे बढ़ने से रोक रहा है. It becomes evil for you. From the point of view of progress, it is evil. From the point of view of progress, it is evil. That's all I'm trying to say.
So if I may recall Sri Aurobindo's line, he uses for this is a dash 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 is a helper and dash 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 is a bar.
Yes.
Fill it with all the yogas and the terminology, whatever word.
And he says na कि his yoga is the secret but natural destined outcome of all the past spiritual endeavor. In his yoga, he has synthesized all these past spiritual endeavors. So, like that. Okay. Shall we move forward? Next paragraph.
First thing I will repeat.
Please.
There is no need of any comparison with X and Y. Whatever, where am I am, I can go up, finished.
Right.
Wherever I am.
Right. Correct. Absolutely. Yeah. So
can one say Ved Vyas was a Vibhuti, not an avatar?
Veda Vyas, see, again, it depends on how you look at it. I think we'll not read the next paragraph today. Let's just discuss freely. See, Vibhuti क्या होता है? Okay, Veda Vyasa is described as an avatar in the Bhagavad Puran, in which 24 avatars are mentioned. Okay, and I mean the amount of work he has done, you can say he's an avatar. He has done a very big major work. Okay, but mother जो definition देती है avatar की, mother की definition है avatar is somebody who adds another step in the ladder of evolution, like that. So therefore, Rama adds the sattvic mind, Krishna adds overmind, like that. So Vyasa ko, I mean, how can I say? I don't know.
He added a lot of
I
knowledge.
have not heard him being called a Vibhuti by anybody. Everybody calls Vyasa an avatar of Vishnu. So he's regarded as an avatar. But again, my simple this thing is, Arora ji sahi keh rahe hain, compare bhi nahi karna chahiye. But just see, Krishna and Vyasa, both are contemporaries. Who is that is called Shri Bhagavan or Purushottama? I'm asking a very simple question. It is Krishna who is called Purushottama and Shri Bhagavan, not Vyasa. Do we worship Vyasa? Whom do we worship? Whom do we try to follow? That's all I'm trying to say. Clear?
But Vyasa gave the all these knowledge and the texts, which must have also helped in the further evolution of.
Definitely. Must have, nahi, it has helped. Vyasa is the one who has written the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
According to tradition. But for Vyasa, we would not be able to read the Gita. But under whose inspiration did he write it? Under Shri Krishna's inspiration. Whoever wrote the Gita was a great yogi and certainly received his inspiration from Krishna. Exact words in Shri Aurobindo. Okay. Whoever wrote the Gita was a great yogi and certainly received his inspiration from Krishna. That is why it is called the word body of Krishna. The Bhagavad Gita is called the Shabda Sharir of Bhagavan Krishna. ये उन्हीं की चेतना है जिसने शब्द रूप धारण कर लिया. Like that.
That is a very, very, very deep sentence.
Very deep and very powerful. फिर बोलता हूं, the Gita is the word body of Krishna. And therefore, when you are reading the Gita, it's like you are doing the Alingan of Krishna. अगर आप ये ध्यान करेंगे, actually, you might even get the physical appearance in front of you. You might get an actual Alingan. The mother used to keep her head on the shoulder of Krishna every day when she would come from her ashram work, man. If it can happen to mother, why it cannot happen to us? हमने क्या पाप किया है? वो तो just intensity of aspiration होना चाहिए. That's all. And the purity. That is why अपने वो Wednesday के sessions है ना, hopefully we will continue them. Merely reading the Gita is to get totally absorbed and possessed by Krishna's consciousness. The Gita is not normal. It's a very, very powerful text. Anyway, 9 o'clock right now. क्या करें? We had started at around 8:03.
Let's just read and go in silence.
Read this para.
And then go in silence if
Okay,
if
who would like to?
everybody
Atmadeep,
agrees.
would you like to read? Shrivalli, anybody? Whoever has not spoken, who has not actively participated. Shiva.
I can read it.
Shrivalli, please read. This much has to be said.
This much has to be said in order to avoid any confusion of thought that might be created by the use of familiar words in a connotation wider than the technical sense now familiar to us. Still, all that is essential in the Sankhya and Yoga systems, all in them that is large, Catholic and universally true, is admitted by the Gita, even though it does not limit itself by them like the opposing schools. Its Sankhya is the Catholic and Vedantic Sankhya, such as we find it in its first principles and elements in the great Vedantic synthesis of the Upanishads and in the later developments of the Puranas.
Exactly.
Its idea of yoga is that large idea of a principally subjective practice and inner change, necessary for the finding of the self or the union with God, of which the Raja Yoga is only one special application.
Beautiful.
The Gita insists that Sankhya and Yoga are not two different, incompatible, and discordant systems, but one in their principle and aim. They differ only in their method and starting point. The Sankhya also is a yoga, but it proceeds by knowledge. It starts, that is to say, by intellectual discrimination and analysis of the principles of our being, and attains its aim through the vision and possession of the truth. Yoga, on the other hand, proceeds by works. It is in its first principle, Karma Yoga. It is in its first principle, Karma Yoga, but it is evident from the whole teaching of the yoga and its later
From the
definitions.
whole teaching of the Gita.
The teaching of the Gita and its later definitions, that the word karma is used in a very wide sense, and that by yoga is meant the selfless devotion of all the inner as well as the outer activities as a sacrifice to the Lord of all works, offered to the Eternal as master of all the soul's energies and austerities. Yoga is the practice of the truth, of which knowledge gives the vision, and its practice has for its motor power a spirit of illumined devotion, of calm or fervent consecration to that which knowledge sees to be the highest.
Beautiful. My God. So impressive.
Mm.
Unbelievable. And this, nobody can write, by thinking. Wo sab, it's just come direct from the silence, whatever he has written. That is why it is capable of bringing that silence to you. From where this book has come, the book is
Absolutely.
capable of taking you there. It's important to understand this simple point.
And also, Anmol Bhai, when we read this, there is a lasting peace,
Yes.
which is
I would simply
is the
request one more person just read this para again,
I
and then
will.
silently we will close it.
I will.
You
We
will-
are in touch with the body of Sri Aurobindo, then I will say.
Yeah. Okay, please read.
This much has to be said in order to avoid any confusion of thought that might be created by the use of familiar words in a connotation wider than the actual sense now familiar to us. Still, all that is essential in the Sankhya and Yoga systems, all in them that is large, Catholic, and universally true, is admitted by the Gita, even though it does not limit itself by them like the opposing schools. Its Sankhya is the Catholic and Vedantic Sankhya, such as we find it in its principles and elements in the great Vedantic synthesis of the Upanishads and in the later developments of the Puranas. Its idea of yoga is that large idea of a principally subjective practice and inner change necessary for finding of the self or the union with God, of which the Raj Yoga is only one special application. The Gita insists that Sankhya and Yoga are not two different, incompatible, and discordant systems, but one in their principle and aim. They differ only in their method and starting point. The Sankhya also is a yoga, but it proceeds by knowledge. It starts, that is to say, by intellectual discrimination and analysis of its principles of our being, and attains its aim through the vision and possession of the truth. Yoga, on the other hand, proceeds by works. It is in its first principle Karma Yoga, but it is evident from the whole teaching of the Gita and its later definitions that the word karma is used in a very wide sense, and that by yoga is meant the selfless devotion of all the inner as well as outer activities as a sacrifice to the Lord of all works, offered to the eternal as master of all the soul's energies and austerities. Yoga is the practice of the truth of which knowledge gives the vision, and its practice has for its motor power a spirit of illumined devotion, of calm, of fervent consecration to that which knowledge sees to be the highest.